There is a movement um, going around that people should be observing the Sabbath based on the moon. And I'll leave a link below to Rob Skiba's video on this, but here are my thoughts since people don't like me linking to somebody else. I disagree with Rob on a lot of things, and you know, he very well states that he doesn't agree with me on a lot of things on Facebook, so I know that. But that doesn't stop the fact that he has good reasons for his beliefs on the Sabbath being on Saturday, or Sabbaton. They only came up with the Saturday like Saturn after it was called Sabbaton. God makes everything first, and then people try to copy it. The demons try to copy it, Basically, Chris and I have been discussing this whole Mark of the Beast thing, and I've been watching videos and thinking about it myself, and she has on her own too. But my idea here is this. The Sunday church calls it a mark, that you believe that Sunday is the Lord's day. Of course, the Lord is also another name for Baal, sun god worship. So, and of course, it's Sunday for sun god worship. Practicing the Sabbath on a Sunday is taking the mark of the Roman Catholic Church, according to their words. Otherwise, we celebrate on Saturday, which was Sabbaton, Sabbath, Shabbat. And it's not about the Gregorian calendars or anything like that. It's about what was originally there, and then they twisted it. So in the same way the wheat looks exactly like the tares until the end of the harvest, the fruit is how you will know them. In the same way, we have the Antichrist being a Jesus who is God, instead of a Jesus who is not God. It's still a Jesus, or Yahuwshua if you're going to get on me with sacred names. But they're different. They look the same somewhat, but they're different, and you know them by their fruits. One is the man of lawlessness, and one is the man of the law, who fulfilled the law, and through him we fulfill the law. So again, they are mirroring each other. They are back to back. One looks like the other one, sort of, and just one is right and one is wrong. The wheat are right next to the tares. One is right, one is wrong. And Saturday and Sunday are right up next to each other. One is right and one is wrong. The new moon thing has people not having 6 days of work. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes you have less. Sometimes you have more. Then 6 days of work, and then the seventh day you rested. Exodus 34, verse 21. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the seventh day thou shalt rest. In plowing time and in harvest thou shalt rest. The Bible clearly states we're supposed to be working 6 days, and then the seventh day you rest. And of course, this is also seen in the 6,000 years of creation until the seventh day, the 7,000 year period of the millennium. The millennium period is the rest period. So, to the Lord our Father, 1 day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like 1 day. So we have 2 examples I've given you so far, and then the third one would be Saturday and Sunday. And the thing is, they look the same. They're on the weekend, but one is right and one is left. And also, it's really, sometimes if you go by the new moon, then, well, you can watch Rob Skiba's video if you're interested in this, but he talks about how it's a different day of the week of creation because God didn't create the moon until like the 4th day. And we have to go by God. The whole thing is about God's creation when he worked and when he rested. He worked, the first 6 days, and it was the 4th day when the new moon happened, and then he rested on the 7th day. So obviously you can't start the week at the new moon. And another thing is how they have programmed these countries basically to have Sunday be a rest period, because like things like banks and all that, some stores are closed on Sunday. So they're going to make it so that you have to rest on Sunday and that you can't do any business on Sunday. And that is, the opposite of Saturday, Sabbath. If, however, you believe your day of rest is like the new moon or whatever, then it would be sometimes in the middle of the week. And if it's in the middle of the week, that's not going to stop you from resting on Saturday, which, it's hard when you're at work for 5 days for you to get things done. So you have to take off of work if you don't want to do it on the Sabbath, on Saturday. So that doesn't become a factor when you have a new moon be in the middle of the week on the Gregorian calendar. And I felt led to, work the 6 days and then rest on the Sabbath last year from God. And that was just spiritual. He led me to that. Nobody was telling me, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. No, it was just something I was led to do. And when I did that, everything started falling into place. The learning I was learning from him by the Holy Spirit just exponentially grew. And I just felt this huge peace of just being able to rest that day and actually celebrate it as a holiday every week, every, seventh day. So I know spiritually that feels right to me because everything started going into place, and I trust the Holy Spirit. I have been led to the same things that other people have been led to over time, and I can see the Holy Spirit working in those time periods, with those people. So another thing is you're supposed to judge by the fruit. And so I see great fruit from people who are practicing the Sabbath on Saturday, Friday evening to Saturday evening. And, this person who came to my channel this morning and was writing how it's not on Saturday, it's on the new moons and things like that, then I see horrible fruit, because he's talking about how there's wickedness in me because I would worship on the Saturday and talk about that in a video, coming in Yahweh's name, his character. The fact that he would call somebody out for being wicked and all that just seems like it's really bad fruit. And I understand that if somebody else is trying to practice the Sabbath on another day, I wouldn't call them wicked for doing that, because I know that they're trying to do it the way they know how to, and we're not supposed to go around just calling people, oh yeah, you're wicked, you're horrible, oh, you're worshiping a golden bull. We would discuss our thoughts on that and try to come to an understanding, but we're not going to go call somebody, wicked, like, you don't know anything or whatever, and I know everything and all that. It's just crazy. In my opinion, there is a peace in following the Holy Spirit to worship on the Sabbath, Friday evening to Saturday evening, and I don't find it coincidental that Chris and I had our shows on Friday. It just seemed like it was the perfect time, and it ended up being the beginning of the Sabbath. And it's like a little church meeting of everybody getting together in the chat room, and that's really great. And that just seems like it's God's plan. And I just believe, in following him, that he shows me what's right and what's wrong. And that's why I believe that, because I've seen so much stuff come together and happen because of, the Sabbath being Saturday. People have other reasons, and I don't mind if somebody has another reason and everything and talks intelligently and discusses things, and that's fine. But if you're just going to throw out Bible verses and, about worshiping on the seventh day, instead worship on the moon, based on the moon. I mean, like I mentioned in another previous video, God's calendar was based on the sun and the moon and the stars. They're for times and seasons, the sun and the moon and the stars. The sun by itself is where we get the Gregorian calendar. The moon by itself is where people get this lunar calendar thing. And worshiping by the moon is just choosing another pagan god, you know. We're supposed to have the sun and the moon together, working together the way they were supposed to be working together. And like I said, Feast of Trumpets was on the Sabbath last month. I find it so amazing, I guess, is more what I'm trying to say, that God lines up everything like that. And I've seen that this whole past year. Everything is pointing to the Sabbath being Saturday, Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. So, you know, I listen to other people talking about it realistically, but for people that just call people wicked, that's just bad fruit. Nobody's gonna just call somebody wicked without trying to explain things first and, you know, condemn others for trying to practice the Sabbath the way they think that it should be practiced. That's not a fruit of the Spirit. You know, if you see somebody practicing the Sabbath in a way that you wouldn't do it, you know, you can pray that they not be deceived. But to come right out and just say that they're wicked for doing so is like a slap in the face to God. You know, somebody's trying to follow God's commandments and you're going to say that they're wicked, you know, for doing so and talking about that. You know, that's just wrong. If you believe so much that it's a different day, then make your own videos on that and share your opinion. But don't go around calling people wicked. That's just crazy. Our enemy is not flesh and blood. We're supposed to be loving our brothers and sisters. And if you don't love your brothers and sisters and just pray for them, and instead of just calling them wicked right away, then something's wrong there. All right. Thanks for listening, and Shabbat Shalom.